What do you do if you're the GOP Speaker of the House? Your caucus is divided. Your job is being threatened. Your House investigations aren't going anywhere. And you can't get anything passed, not even a rules vote, without help from Democrats. You schedule a trip to Mar-a-Lago to get a boost from the leader of your party, perhaps in hopes it will strengthen your position within your party and allow you to put a Ukraine aid vote to the floor, which the other guy leading the other party, President Biden, is daring you to do.
If we had a vote tomorrow, if the new Speaker of the House of Representatives had the guts to call for a vote and on Ukraine, it would pass overwhelmingly. I'm hoping that the Speaker of the House begins to have the courage to do what I'm confident he knows what has to be done.
Joining us now, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale. So lots of dynamics at play here. What's going on?
A ton of dynamics at play here, because we'll start on the former President Trump front, because even though Johnson is going to Mar-a-Lago, this trip has everything to do with what's happening here on Capitol Hill. The fact that Johnson is once again an embattled speaker, much like his predecessor, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Only for Johnson, the issue now is Ukraine aid, or even potentially the way that this FISA or data privacy battle continues to go. Those two things could be enough to trigger an ousting of his job from within his own conference. Now, if it comes to a Ukraine aid vote, this is where the dynamics get even more tricky up here on Capitol Hill, because I've had Democratic House members tell me that if they see Johnson be willing to give them a vote on Ukraine aid, they would then be willing to potentially come in and save his job if that situation were to unfold. A lot of weird dynamics here, and it's partly why Johnson is going to be going to Mar-a-Lago, going to the source of Republican power, being next to former President Trump for what I'm told is an event about election integrity. Pretty vague and nebulous concept there, especially when you think about Johnson's role over on January 6th, the way that he was one of the key architects of the formula to overthrow the election results. That's something we talked about a lot when he got the speakership in the first place, Katie, but certainly it's central to his role now as he heads to Mar-a-Lago on Friday amid a really, really wild sea of dynamics up here on Capitol Hill.
So is this directed at getting Donald Trump to call off Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Not explicitly, though certainly there are some people who think that that's one of the key parts of this. But also think about it this way. Proximity to the former president is a currency here within the House Republican Conference. I'm not someone who thinks that Trump can explicitly move votes here on Capitol Hill, but he is someone who certainly has a lot of influence behind the scenes. For Johnson, who has stuck closely to Trump over the course of the last few months, this makes sense in an attempt for him to shore himself up with the House Republican Conference at a time that he really might need it.
And then what about the Ukraine aid bill? Is it going to come to the floor?
That is the open question here. And look, when you see rules tanking on the House floor like they did just in the last hour or so, it's a reminder of the fact that sometimes you can't even get to a vote on the actual thing you're trying to get a vote on. You have to first go through a rule process to get that vote, and that Johnson can't even get that. Certainly that was the case today on data privacy reform, or FISA reform as we're calling it around here. But when it comes to Ukraine aid, it's going to be a similarly thorny battle. It's why we haven't seen them say they're going to for sure set a vote on it. That's still an open question, because it's not clear whether Johnson is going to do this by bringing the Senate supplemental to the floor. That is what Democrats say is the quickest and easiest way to get this aid out the door. And that's not just aid to Ukraine. That also encompasses aid to Israel and Taiwan as well. Or Johnson could try to put up just a bill that focuses on Ukraine aid. That's going to have its own issues, too. There is really no easy path here, and it's why we're not seeing any specifics around if or when the Ukraine aid vote is going to get to the House floor.
So there's the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which is key to how the government operates its national security and spying around the world, even here at home. But there's also the FAA renewals, and that's also super key to making sure people are safe in the air. Is that in jeopardy?
Yeah. It's certainly not something that we're actively talking about, and that's because there's such a long laundry list of things to do here. When you watch something like FISA reform or data privacy that you were just talking about, when that gets stopped on the floor, that means it's one more thing that the House has to contend with figuring out. You're not just ticking through a to-do list in a natural fashion here, Katie. The House is just not really functional right now because of the dysfunction within House Republicans and within their conference. When Marjorie Taylor Greene is out here Snyder saying, I'm going to be watching very closely the way that the speaker handles not just FISA, but now also Ukraine aid. That means that she has this idea of a motion to vacate hanging over all of the proceedings. That, again, jams things up. And you're looking at this backlog of things that need to get done, both for the security of Americans or how the government gathers data. All of it's really important, and all of it's sort of hanging in limbo right now.
Ali Vitale. Ali, thank you very much.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.